know you're very tired. I know you're very tired. I'll take you on a vacation when we're done. I swear, a real vacation, just you and me. But listen to me, if you don't do something right now, we're all gonna die. You understand?
What's the use of saving life when you see what you do with it?
It'll be entering the atmosphere in 40 seconds.
Leeloo, you're right. But there are some things, very nice things worth saving, some beautiful things. Beautiful things.
Like love.
Yes, love. That's good. That's a good example. Like love. Love is worth saving.
I don't know love. I was built to protect, not to love. So there's no use for me other than this.
No. You're wrong. I need you. I need you very much.
Why?
Because.
Tell her, Colin.
Please, would you need me?
Because.
No,
Because I love you.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, welcome. My name is Matt and I'm here with Andrew. Today we're going to be talking about The Fifth Element and how love is the answer to human nature, when it was that Bruce Willis stopped being the Everyman, and how this French film charged into pop culture. So grab your popcorn and Reese's Pieces and let's break it down on the Post Credit Podcast.
But anyways, it's like he falls out of the barn and onto this piece of farm equipment.
Oh, with the spikes?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the fake Jason.
Yeah,
that's
what
how
I'm
they
saying.
defeated him.
Yeah, but I just thought that was like
And his
it's
mask
very iconic.
and his bald cap came off.
Yeah.
Weirdly.
Well, the way they produced that scene and the way they created that scene, I thought was just pretty good. It just again, it's iconic for me because I remember it, you know. And
Yeah.
But regardless,
Yeah. But anyways, the movie we're talking about today is The Fifth Element. It came out in 1997. Hopefully you guys are noticing a theme here. We went a little sideways with 13 Ghosts because we wanted to talk about that with the Horror in Hills ladies. But basically we're trying to hit as many 90s movies as we can this season. And we're going for fun. You know, a lot of the movies that me and Drew like are fun movies. They're not necessarily the best around or anything like that.
You're
But
the best around. Okay,
sorry. But yeah, I mean, they're not necessarily the best, but you know, we have fun. Like, I get cinema and I get being critical of really, you know, serious material and all that kind of stuff, and I can go for that a lot of time when I want to experience that. But oftentimes when I want to watch a movie, I want to have fun, you know, when I'm watching it. So I mean, that's what I go for more. But so The Fifth Element came out in 1997. It was directed by Luc Besson. He's a French director, and he's directed a lot of movies that you've probably seen. Including he directed Leon the Professional.
I love that movie.
He also did Lucy, that just recently came out.
Well, The Professional, that was Natalie Portman's first film, right?
Yeah, first major role. I think she had been on commercials and stuff before that. But it has what else did he do, or who else was in it? Jean Reno. And Gary Oldman was in that as well.
That's right.
So yeah, he was. Remember, he was the one that they were kind of going against and everything.
Yeah.
He also did La Femme Nikita, Lucy. Are you seeing a trend here with La Femme Nikita, Leon the Professional, The Fifth Element, and Lucy?
Assassins.
Well, we got a strong female savior, basically. Yeah. Right. So
The Professional, I mean,
Leon the Professional, she's training. He's teaching her how to be an assassin, right? And so she's got that, and she was a huge part of that movie. Did such a good job. Yeah. La Femme Nikita, you know, another one about an assassin. Lucy, Fifth Element. I mean, you just got these strong female leads.
But here's where I think the break in that is that in The Fifth Element, actually, because that they're telling him, the priest, the blue lady, everybody's telling him, saying that he has to protect her, that she's not as tough as she tries to make herself out to be, or that people think she is. She's not that tough. She's very she's kind of weak in a way.
I think they were making that point because she was coming at it from, it's obviously there's a lot of Christian allegories in this movie, a ton of them actually, and her being, I guess, kind of the savior.
I mean, she's the fifth element.
Right. So she's the only one that can do anything, but she needs to know what she's doing it for, which we'll dive into that as well. But I thought it was interesting that the director, he tends to do more movies. Even Valerian, he just did that Valerian. What was it, 2017? Yeah, I believe 17 or 18, and which was. Came out horrible reviews and everything like that.
It was a pretty film. It was a pretty film. The way I'm going to say that is meaning that the visuals were really great in that movie. I thought. I'm not saying that the acting was bad, but the story just it's not something that can hook you. You know what I mean? I think science fiction films can only be successful if that you can make a sequel to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but wasn't that a book to begin with?
Yeah, it was. I mean, that was
Valerian and
right.
The City of a Thousand Planets or whatever.
Right. But I think when it comes to science fiction films, the only way they're successful is even if they don't make a second one like they didn't with this one, but if you're able to make sequels or multiple sequels off of science fiction, because a lot of times science fiction is such a massive world and you only get a little piece when you watch a film like Fifth Element, where
you watch a Fifth Element, that you can see that they've taken a lot from other science fiction movies.
Well, and like for instance, like
Metropolis,
Star
Trek, and all
but
that kind of stuff.
When you watch Star Trek, there's so many shows and movies and literature, so where it's like, that's why it's so successful, is because you can see all different parts of this world that Gene Roddenberry created, where like with Fifth Element was successful because it opens it up to make a sequel to it. You know what I mean? Even if it's 5,000 more years in the future, something like that, that way, it's a little bit of a time jump, but I think that's what makes science fiction films successful.
Yeah, and I like this one because, like a lot of science fiction, I mean, if you think about it, most science fictions are always open to sequels because you're exploring such a vast topic with, whether it's space exploration, science exploration, whatever, you can continue that on. Because whereas if you're telling a tale of a dog, it can only go so far, or
right?
Whatever,
or comedies, it can only go. I mean, comedies too kind of fall in that category if you think about it. Where you have to have a sequel where it'll be successful, as long as you can have it open for a sequel. Where drama and action is pretty much done and done. At that point.
Yeah, I think science fiction in and of itself is just open to
vast,
to just tons of world building. But what I like about The Fifth Element is that it's an open and shut story. It's you can build on it if you want to, but it's okay if you just the one movie. It's a great story, I think, and it's kind of known as the best worst, one of the best worst movies. Because a lot of people don't like it and a lot of people absolutely love it.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of lives in that weird zone.
Well, it's probably because like especially with the aliens. I mean, a lot of them look like puppets. You know what I mean? It was like a Jim Henson.
But they did good
production
with it, though. They had a huge budget. I think they had a huge special effects budget for this.
No, I'm not saying that they didn't do a good job. But what I'm saying is like, it's not so much of a smooth transition of being like CGI'd in where they look more natural, more realistic. Where we're here, it kind of looks almost like a puppet. Like the good guys or the people that were controlling the stones. Milla Jovovich's character or people. But those people like look like big old. Walking moles.
Oh, I see. You're talking about the Mondachi one.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So they're it's spelled out like Mondo Shaolin, but they were pronouncing it in the movie as Mondo Chiwon.
Yeah.
So that's how I'm going to say it. But yeah, that was a very unique design of those things, and that's what I like. It's almost like the story of Jesus if it was told through steampunk sci-fi, lens or something like that.
And the fact that like the way he did it is. Like, we found out that what they look like under all that shell, that's Milla Jovovich's, her character is one of those people.
No, actually.
It's a glove that
I always thought that, but that is from the sarcophagus. So do you remember they had the sarcophagus that she had grabbed in? So she was humanoid because you could see a humanoid bone coming out of that severed arm or whatever.
Yeah.
That looked like it was just armor. So I think she was always she always looked like that. That was the perfect form. She just got destroyed in that wreck. But when they rebuilt her, she had all her memories back and everything like that. Because that's what I thought when I was younger too. I was like, oh, she was one of those things because she was in that wreck.
Okay, and so that makes the movie make a little bit more sense that way. Because then if you're first you're thinking like, okay, so how did it just so happened to only have leftover DNA from one person
and to a girl?
Yeah, and how did it happen to be just the one person that they needed was their arm was safe? You know what I mean? So now that kind of makes sense now, because I do remember the
sarcophagus.
Yeah, sarcophagus.
Yeah. So just to briefly go over the plot, we open up in the early 1900s as some people are excavating some tombs in Egypt. And
which is funny because you get Luc Perry for like
nowhere,
a total 10 minutes of the film, and then he's gone.
Out of nowhere, you see Luc Perry, Mr. Dylan McKay himself, and I'm like, who casted him as some kind of scared dorky art or just kind of timid artist guy,
right,
coming from the leather jacket clad wearing Jimmy Dean acting role that he had on Beverly Hills 90210.
Yeah,
it's very confusing to me.
And for like 10 minutes, I mean, I'm not saying that he was like the most. He's like the most famous actor in the film. I mean, you got Bruce Willis, you got Chris Tucker.
It was just weird to see him.
But just, I mean, he's still up in the higher category as far as at that time period.
It's kind of like
for
just
being
a
an
cameo.
actor. Yeah,
it'd be like seeing like Brad Pitt in like a 5 or 10 minute cameo.
Well, he's in Thelma and Louise.
Not that bad. Yeah, not that bad because Brad Pitt's a lot more popular than Luc Perry or whatever. But
like he was in Thelma and Louise, he wasn't the main character.
Right, but that was before he was big. I mean, I guess Luc Perry, he was big as far as TV goes. He never really got big movies. But so we find out that they're there. There's a priest, and there's kind of like an order of priests that are protecting this tomb, and aliens.
Secret.
The Mondo Chiwon, they show up. They say that war is coming because obviously we had World War I, World War II. We had 1900s filled with different wars and everything. And so they're like, war is coming. The stones aren't safe here. So what you find out is that inside this tomb there's 4 stones that represent the 4 main elements of the world. Wind, fire, water, air. By your powers combined, I am Captain Planet.
Yes. Oh, or something like that.
Yeah. I am Captain Planet. No, so
I love those cartoons.
I know, they were good. But so you have those 4 elements, and then in the middle is a sarcophagus with a living person. It's supposed to be the perfect being. That is the 5th element, is what they call her, and basically
wait. You say her now. Now they refer to it, and this
they just said the perfect being.
Yeah, but then they said he is in the middle. He is in the middle when they said it right at the beginning.
Well, yeah, because they're interpreting that way. I mean, I think she's always a female.
But I think it's ironic that they say he is in the middle and then it ends up being a she.
Right. So they don't know. But they take the sarcophagus, they take the stones. One of them gets trapped in there and says, "Hey, pass down what you've learned." We fast forward 300 years in the future to 23 something. Basically the Mondo Chiwon are coming back, and they said, when the evil comes, the premise is pure evil comes every 5,000 years, and you need to unite the 4 elements with the 5th element to bring the divine light, and the divine light is what combats the evil. It doesn't destroy it, because we'll never get rid of evil in our life or whatever in this world, but it stops the evil for a time, and then 5,000 years it'll come back or whatever. So every 5,000 years. So they were the Mondochiwan. They returned in 300 years after the opening, which was the early 1900s, and that's the 5,000 year point. And at that point, the evil comes back. And so the Mondochiwan need to bring the elements to Earth to set it up in that temple to combat the light. Well, as they're doing that, they get shot down, and that's basically how our story begins.
Yeah, and I just thought that now the spaceship that these people, this whole culture, not the culture, but this race of beings, alien beings.
The Mondochiwan or the Mangalores?
No, not the Mangalores.
Okay.
But the Mondochiwas.
Okay.
But they're just weird civilization. I even understood the blue girl more than I understood these guys. These big.
They talk like this.
Well, no, because that sounds like
That's how they
the guys from
Shut Your Face.
Doctor Who. So, just their spaceship look ridiculous. Their suits look ridiculous. It's just the stone situation was kind of ridiculous. It's like, and then that robot trying to escape. It's like, can he just open up the doors again? It's like,
which robot trying to escape?
Or I say robot, but that Mangalores, not the
Mondochiwa.
Yeah, the Mondochiwa. They it's like, why were they running?
Because he couldn't get the door.
back
He's like,
open?
hurry up. And he goes, this is your mission now. He goes, yes, I understand, but hurry up. And the dude's like, look, man, you see how big I am? I can't move that fast.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, just open the door back up and then, go from there. And it's kind of strange. It's like, what's preventing them from reopening the door,
Yeah.
But, I guess it's just part of the plot. And then he gives him some sort of key thing out of his finger, but...
That's to open up the temple again.
That's right. That's right.
So, so basically, we're in the future now, and the Mangalores, who are these like weird pig-looking aliens with sideways ears. I don't know. It's hard to explain.
Jim Henson did them,
but yeah, I guess they have like technology in their suits where they can make them look like real humans and stuff. But anyways, they're paid by this guy named Zorg to go and shoot down that ship with the Mondochiwan come in to save everybody. And the reason Zorg is having him do that is because Zorg is being controlled. Oh. He's being controlled by the evil. And so the evil wants him to stop the fifth element from being from creating that divine light so it can destroy all life on Earth. And I guess they do this for different planets with life on Earth all throughout the galaxy or something
Plus
like that.
they hate him because he's a capitalist and he...
So was Zorg under control before the Mr. Shadow guy got there? He had to have been because
no, he was. He was a slime ball.
But how? Because he wasn't there yet. The Mr. So they call the pure evil planet thing. They call him Mr. Shadow.
Yeah.
So why? Like he was. It came through a portal. Like it wasn't there in our galaxy yet. And then suddenly it came through the galaxy. But at that time, he had already commissioned the Mangalores to shoot down the Mondochiwans.
Yeah.
So how long had he had been under control of the, he had been under control the whole life preparing for this? Or was it just recently? Because we just start the movie and he's already under control of the Mr. Shadow and doing its bidding and everything.
And at the same time, it's kind of like...
Played by the amazing Gary Oldman, by the way.
Absolutely. But, it's kind of strange because... It's kind of under confusion on what the bad guys are trying to achieve. They want them to keep away the from the rocks so that
which bad guys are you talking about?
The Gary Oldman and Mr. Shadow and all that other stuff. They want to keep them able from using the rocks, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, fair enough. But at the same time, it's like, why are they battling? Why don't they just wait at the temple? Right before the good guys show up or whatever, and just take the rocks from them.
Well, because they don't know. Like first of all, they just shot down the ship when it came in, so they assumed that everybody was dead in it. Then he wanted them to get the stones out of there so that the stones couldn't be used. And Zorg was only doing it because I believe Mr. Shadow or whatever had promised him power or money, and that's why he said, my price is tripled. And Mr. Shadow's like, look, money's no concern of me. Do my bidding. And he started making him bleed. So I think he's like afraid of this thing. So he's doing its bidding.
Which is also weird too. Is like, you know, the random voice in your head just so happens to have millions and billions of dollars or whatever in his back pocket.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm sure
it
he
doesn't make a whole
promised
lot
him
of sense.
power or something
Yeah.
like that. Something that he definitely wasn't going to deliver on.
Well, just like you said, he said the price has tripled, but what price?
yeah,
you know?
I mean, we can start poking.
Let's show you a couple planets, you know,
Yeah.
while we're at it.
We could start poking holes in it, and I'm sure we could get down to something.
Oh,
but
we could.
I'm sure the director could also defend it in a certain way.
No.
But so, anyways, that's one of the things I was wondering was like, you know, was this guy always working? Because you know we never see like the first contact. It's just he contracted and he contracted these Mangalores to shoot down that. Ship promised them heavy weaponry for their species.
Maybe at first it was volunteer, you know, for Sirius Black to actually help him out. You know, it was
Sirius Black.
I'm going to keep calling that Gary Oldman, but no, for him to work for him. Probably at first it was voluntary, and then they came to a point where like he had no choice at that point. You know, even though he said the price is triple, whatever else like that. He had to have known that, you know, he was working for that guy at that point. I think he was just garbage human being anyways to begin with, and then they just, you know, got more focused when Mr. Shadow showed up. So
yeah, so the Fifth Element, played by Milla Jovovich, also her name is Leeloo. Well, it's actually a very long name, but they shorten it down to Leeloo. But so what she is, she's basically divine light, which took the form of human without being born of a man. What does that sound like? Divine light took the form of
Rick
human.
and Morty.
So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. They recreated her in a lab. So she wasn't born of a man.
Yeah.
She was a human, even though she was... Was she human? Because, like, she wasn't Montechuan.
What, she had 200 chromosomes?
200,000.
200,000 chromosomes.
Yeah. Well, it was. I don't know if it was chromosomes or just certain markers that we only have. I guess
40.
We only have like 40 or whatever.
Yeah.
But maybe it was chromosome. I don't know. But yeah. So I just thought that was interesting. I mean, like, you know, if you wanted to stretch it, and I keep in mind, I'm not saying that this is a Christian allegory movie, and that's what. But I mean, if you wanted to take it that way, you know, Leeloo is Jesus, the shadow thing is devil because it's pure evil, right? Zorg could be considered the Antichrist doing the bidding of the devil, whatever.
Right.
The pig alien things are demons because, you know, they're fighting with Montechuan, who would be like the angels.
Okay.
You know, the military response is mankind, and Bruce Willis is like the bride of Christ. I'm just saying.
I think
You
where
know
you
what I
lose
mean
it
by the bride of Christ, right?
Yeah.
The Christians.
Yeah, I think that Bruce Willis's character kind of throws that theory kind of.
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously it's not perfect. It's not, like I said, you could stretch it to be like that.
But no, every other piece fits except for Bruce Willis, who happens to be the main character in the
maybe,
film.
but see, at the end, she had to be shown love, and that's the point of existence, and that's, you know, that's that.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just saying, you know,
that.
and we show where, you know, he accepted her and loved her, which is what we do. So I don't know. You could say it's that.
I agree with you that, but it's just kind of funny that, like, you know, the whole pictures, you know, where you have the four elements plus the fifth element is one person in the middle, but yet technically you needed two people to make everything work. You know what I mean? Like,
I guess because he had to hold her up.
The man and the woman, you needed both of them as one.
Yeah, there's so many different
to make that work.
Yeah, that's what I like about this is because you can compare it to different religions. You can compare it to different allegories or stories or whatever, and you can kind of make them work. Everybody can make them work for their own different views. You know, I saw it this way, you saw it that way. You know, but it's still a fun adventure movie if you just want to have a fun adventure movie. What was it Tiny Lister? That's his name, right? The dude who played the president.
Yeah. Yeah.
What does he say? Oh man, what does he say in Friday?
Oh, that's
One of his,
Devo.
like, his big lines.
Devo.
Yeah, Debo. That's his name. But what is it? He always said, I can't remember what he says. But yeah, Tom Lister Jr. is his name, but his nickname is Tiny, ironically or whatever. But yeah, both him and Chris Tucker were in Friday together.
That's right.
You know, they wanted to cast for Ruby Rod. They wanted to cast. They went through Prince.
I can see that.
and they went through another person. I'm trying to remember who it was. It was another person that was kind of, I can't remember, but I know they went through a couple different people, and Prince, like you look at the costume design and everything of this movie, like he probably could have provided his own costume.
Oh, absolutely. I just think the way they did this movie, because if you notice that, a lot of space films are real dark and heavy, and then the director, from what I hear, the director on this film wanted the visuals to be bright. Like he called it, he's basically filming all in daylight. Like he did not want to film, anything in the dark or with darker shades, because he said that it's just been overkilled that way, and overdone that way, where all these space films happen to be like pretty dark,
sci-fi,
yeah. And so he actually came
naturally
out,
you're in space, it's dark and everything.
But he came out and he said, "Look, we're going to film all these scenes in the daylight. We're going to film them, we're going to have all the scenes very bright, so you can see little detail stuff." And I think that's kind of a good way to keep yourself from cheating in a way.
There's almost a
what
cool
I mean?
little nod to it at the beginning when the professor guy keeps needing the light, and they're like, "Aziz!" Because he kept dropping the light and it would go dark and everything, and so that's kind of a cool little metaphor or whatever. But basically the government recovers a severed arm that still has living tissue in it, a few cells, and as we said, it has like something like 400,000 DNA markers, where 200. We have 40 or 200,000, and so it's supposed to be a perfect being, capable of almost anything. And they recreate her because they have the technology to do that. Thank God that
we have the technology.
Thank God this shipwreck didn't happen like 200 years before, where they couldn't rebuild her and we'd be screwed. Yeah. So we just happen to have the right technology that we can say, hey, even though this person was destroyed, we can take a few cells and rebuild her.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because she comes out
the what is it, $3 million woman or whatever.
Yeah. But what's funny is that her she's supposed to be some sort of alien, right? In a way.
I don't think she is though.
Because they got the sarcophagus from I didn't say that right. I don't think sarcophagus from Egypt. So it was a humanoid person, but she said humans are so strange. I don't understand them.
But I don't think she's anything. So I think obviously she was in the sarcophagus because that's what you would do with people of the time, right? I guess she sleeps or whatever for 5,000 years or whatever it may be. But I don't think she's human. I don't think she's alien. I just think she's otherworldly, maybe outside of this world. Because they were saying this divine light versus pure evil. So that's got to be forces outside of what we know and can fathom.
Right.
So maybe she's represented and brought to life as a humanoid, much like certain other stories in our past, namely Jesus or whatever. But it's an interesting theory, because what the movie is about essentially is love.
Yeah.
And that's what I believe. The story of the gospel, or the reason of creation, the reason of existence is to experience love. Now, with love, you have to experience the other stuff too.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't. How would you know goodness or love if you didn't know what hate or evil was?
Right.
That type of thing, or us and our puny little human brains or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's what it essentially ends up being. Throughout their adventure, Leeloo is doing some reading up on everything she missed in the last 5,000 years.
Like constantly, yeah.
So she's always doing that, and she's experiencing, she gets into a gun battle with Zorg and the aliens and all this kind of stuff, and she's not doing very well, and she's experiencing these awful things, and she finally gets to the W's and decides she wants to search what war is. And after seeing that, they get to the temple. When it's time to save everybody, she's like, why? She goes, I see what you all do with life. Why save life when all you do with life is you kill each other, you destroy each other, you hate each other.
And then Bruce Willis comes in.
Yeah, what's the point?
Yeah,
and then he has to show her, and everybody, everybody surrounding knows. Tell her, tell me, all that kind of stuff. Like everybody knows it's coming. But I mean, that's the point, is that, you know, how can somebody that is not human or alien or whatever, that's otherworldly, trying to learn about a world, what reason do they have to save it? Especially if they see all the horrible and disgusting and awful things we've done to each other over the course of humankind. What's the point? And then it's at that point is like, she needs to know love. And obviously
she knew what, I mean, if you remember, she knew what had to happen, you know, because she said, tell me
I think it's
what
because
it is.
she knew that he loved her, but she needed to know for sure.
Yeah, and because I mean, she it's almost like she knew that this was coming. I mean, for most of the whole film, you know, she's kind of talking in a different language, not really understanding what anybody's saying until she really starts learning English, and then she's understanding a lot better, and then, you know, but it's almost like she knew that this had to happen, because if Bruce Willis was, you know, if he wasn't there, then how would it, you know, they activated the whole machine?
And that's
you know?
that's the thing, is that everything happened perfectly like it was supposed to happen. You know, she came to the right time so she could be rebuilt and all that kind of stuff. It almost seemed like everything that was thrown at her, every obstacle, whether it was Zorg, the Mangalores, you know, every bad thing that was thrown at him, there was something there, whether it was the priest or Bruce Willis or whatever, Corbin Dallas, to alter that, to put it right on track again. So, you know, they destroyed the ship and her. Well, we had the right technology to rebuild it. Well, she was being attacked by Zorg and all these people, and it got her down, and she looked at human history, and that was bad. But then she happened to be, you know, falling in love with this guy ever since she fell through his cab. Yeah. You know, just randomly. And what are the chances of that happening? Like, right? One time, I want to see a movie where a guy is not necessarily the best guy for the job, because, like, you know, she happened to fall in the cab of a guy that was special forces and basically the most badass guy on the planet, right? Yeah. Because it always happens that way. It happens to be some guy, and then you find out, oh, he used to be special forces, and now, like, the president and his advisors are talking about him, and they're like, oh, yeah, he's a badass and everything. It's like, it always happens that way. I want to see an Everyman, because Bruce Willis usually plays an Everyman, but I want to see an Everyman where he just barely is able to win these fights, you know, just by the skin of his teeth, or just by luck or by tenacity. Not because he's like the most super badass on the face of the planet and the odds of that person being involved in the story is so low. You know, I want to see somebody who doesn't come out on top every once in a while, or maybe doesn't throughout his own means, but just through his or her tenacity or whatever it may be, just barely make it through. But I don't know, she just happened to fall through the most badass guy on the planet's cab for some reason,
who is obviously still pretty much controlled by his mother.
Yeah, exactly.
She doesn't, we don't get to hear any story behind her besides the fact that we know that that's his mother, and then she is calling the president, she's calling, I mean, everybody is just, I mean, it's just kind of like a running joke inside the film. You know?
We're talking about vintage Bruce Willis here before he stopped caring about anything.
Yeah, Bruce Willis was still a little bit of hair.
Yeah, still hair, and it was bleached blonde too. Yes. But it's you know, because he started doing movies where he felt like, because he was a tough guy role, he had to talk less and have less facial expressions, and his like go-to thing was like to squint his eyes and look sideways and say a couple words and just shrug like he doesn't care. Okay. And then he walks around like he can't be killed, you know, he's just kind of cashing it in, you know, or call what he called phoning it in his performance or whatever. Like in this movie, this was still Bruce Willis who kind of cared, you know, he had a real smile when he saw Milla Jovovich. I don't know how you wouldn't if you saw Milla Jovovich fall through the back of your, I mean, that is one absolutely gorgeous woman. But you know, that's the type of thing, you know, you actually see Bruce Willis have some emotion, have some response to some things, you know. He hadn't checked out yet.
And you know, let me ask you this: who would you say is, you know, from way back when to now, who would you say is probably your favorite action star, you know, out of all these? these?
Keanu Reeves, because Speed, when I was younger, I knew every single word to that movie. I probably saw it, and I'm not exaggerating, probably saw it over 200 times. It was one of these things I get home from school and I turn on every day of the week type of thing. And so, yeah, Keanu Reeves and Speed and Point Break and all that kind of stuff, he was my favorite.
Mine probably would be Bruce Willis, to be honest with you, just because, I mean, again, the Die Hard movies are so iconic, and every movie that he's done it's just been good. I mean, he's come out with, like, in the last probably 20 years, he's coming out a lot of these films where they don't really go straight to theater, or they don't go to the theater, they go straight to video kind of thing, But I've watched some of them, and they're actually not that bad.
Henry Cavill, too, where it just went like night or something about day, or I can't remember. But
yeah, but I mean, he's doing a lot of them where they're somewhat successful, even though he doesn't go to theater, which I can see probably not happening. I can see them probably shutting. Well, maybe for a long time.
The whole industry is going to change. I feel like drive-ins are going to come back.
Yeah, but I just
more of that.
Nowadays it's like they're kind of getting the hint that okay, we need to start really just releasing it straight to pay the $30 like Mulan or whatever. And pay that $30 and watch it at your house,
or just like
your own
the
home.
big blockbusters go to theaters. All the rest of the stuff goes to streaming for $20 or whatever. But I mean, getting back to Bruce Willis, he's made a career out of being the everyman that reluctantly gets dragged into some kind of world or national conflict or whatever it may be. He's just like, he plays the he's not a buff guy like Arnold or Stallone or whatever. Yeah. He's not a slick guy, the usual charming, good-look guy like Brad Pitt or Keanu Reeves or whatever. He's just an everyman type of guy, and
he gets by the skin of his teeth. Through every film. He ends up coming out on top, but I mean, just barely every single time.
Yeah, but that's his charm, is the everyman. He came from Moonlighting, which was very lighter and all that kind of stuff. Somewhat. So I mean, that's the type of person that we're looking at here, and he's done well with it. He's done he pulled 5 Die Hards out of him, and he's done a bunch of other things, and then he'll cameo in something like in it was one of the Oceans movie where he cameoed as himself and everything. And he's exactly who you'd think how he'd act.
Oh, it's the one with Julia Roberts, and they're overseas, like in Spain or Italy or something.
Yeah, it was Ocean's 12. Yeah, it was the second one. But he's. I think he got, after a while, he got a big head. He became the action star. One of the, I guess you'd say, one of the trinity of action stars of the 80s and 90s, which is Stallone, Arnold, and Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
Who are also
Hollywood,
own the Planet Hollywood and all that. But it's. I think you got a big. I mean, when you hear Kevin Smith talking about working with Bruce Willis, he talks about how it was just an absolute nightmare, because he doesn't want to do certain things and he wants things a certain way and everything, and it's hard for a director to direct somebody like that. And if you want Bruce Willis nowadays, it's kind of like you're going to get the same type of Bruce Willis in every film role that he's in now. Not to knock on the guy, but I mean, I feel like he's done a lot better work, and as soon as he hit the 2000s or mid 2000s, I think he just kind of stopped caring, or not stopped caring, but it was just, it felt like he had to turn this intensity on all the time, where he barely talks. Like, dude, you're the everyman. You're supposed to be this normal guy that is pointing out the ludicrous parts of what's going on, like you did in Die Hard or whatever.
Or like Ocean's 11, Ocean's 12, or not Ocean's, but the whole 9 yards, the whole 10 yards, and all that stuff.
Yeah, but
those are great films.
He started to play. That's when he started to get that way. And I know he had to be a certain way because he was like an assassin and everything. But he completely got outshined in that movie by Matthew Perry, because Matthew Perry is hilarious in that movie when he runs into the sliding glass door.
Because I've done that before. So no. I thought those movies are great just because, again, Matthew Perry and just like what's the one he does with Salma Hayek? Can't Buy My Love.
Matthew Perry.
Yeah,
Fool's Rush In.
Fool's Rush In. That's duh.
Yeah.
It's after the Elvis song, and I love that movie. Love that movie. You know, it's just because it's it's a lot of
Only fools rush.
Oh wait,
Sorry.
Anyways, no, I love that movie too, just because it's he does outshine him. But again, you're right, he does somewhat outshine it. But then at the same time, this movie was supposed to be a Matthew Perry movie, not a Bruce Willis movie. Bruce Willis was.
Oh, you're talking about the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, he was a second.
Well, I mean, and he was brought in to be the scary intensity.
Yeah.
Type of guy, like
the hitman.
But that's what I'm saying is that he really got famous off of being the Everyman, which is what he was in The Fifth Element. Well, he was a special forces guy, but he was still kind of had that element. He still had that
that silver element.
He still had that Everyman element to him. So
just stop saying element because
shut
it just keeps
your
on
face. What's your favorite Gary Oldman role?
I mean, come on,
Sirius Black.
Obviously,
I think.
That is. I mean, well, I don't know. I have you seen is it the Churchill one that I'm thinking of? Where Winston Churchill, remember Finest Hour? Was it Finest Hour?
I don't know. I don't think I saw that one.
Was it Gary Oldman? I believe.
No, I think you're thinking of Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy or whatever it's called. He was in that one.
No, it's I gotta find it because
get your.
Yeah.
Now, my favorite role of him, I think, is in True Romance.
Finest Hour was the boat one.
Yeah, that's the Coast Guard one. True Romance with
Yes,
Christian
that was
Slater
good.
and Patricia Arquette. He played the gangster, the white gangster.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, and he had the gold teeth and everything. But I mean, that's the thing about Gary Oldman. He just transforms into somebody else. And it seems ridiculous. But you're just like, man. Then you start to believe, like, this guy is really. I like his accent in this movie. Where the heck did that thing come from?
Yeah. Well, and Fiennes is like that too.
Ralph Fiennes.
Yeah, I mean, playing playing Voldemort and playing what we see. He is in not Hannibal, but one of the.
He was in
Red Dragon
and Schindler's List. Yeah.
Yeah, he was in Red Dragon too. I think.
Yeah, he played the
serial.
Yeah, the
killer.
guy.
But like. Those two characters, and it's funny because you watched Devil All the Time, right? Or when you watch it, all those actors are British actors. Like almost every single one of the main actors are British. I mean,
Bill's not. He's Swedish.
Well, not American. You know what I mean? Not from Alabama or Arkansas
saying.
or whatever.
Yeah.
We
need other people to play.
Yeah, I mean, it's so crazy that you get somebody that, Americans or British people can do American accent, but Americans try to do British accent. They sound pompous.
Well, they get the
Anne Hathaway.
They get the inflections wrong a lot.
Right, and like Anne Hathaway, like when she did the British accent, I'm trying to think what movie it was that she was doing. She was doing a British accent, and for the movie,
was that not in Princess Bride? No, she was regular American accent there.
I don't know. I want to say it was Anne Hathaway.
Maybe it was Les Miserables.
Yeah, something like that. But
Les Mis.
But if you notice, Americans cannot do British accents. I mean, we say this because our mother's British, so we're used to hearing the voice and the inflection and things
Mike
like that.
Myers did an all right job.
He does it. No, he does better Scottish.
He doesn't do Scottish, but I mean,
Irish.
as Austin Powers, I mean, he pretty much had that nailed down, and now that was very cartoonish, and everything. But I mean, it was still pretty spot on. I mean, like he played a British dude in Inglourious Bastards, and he did a great job.
But Devil All the Time, like you've got Robert Pattinson, who's British. You've got.
I call him Cedric Diggory.
Yeah, Tom Holland, who's British.
I call him not my favorite Spider-Man.
Well, we both agree who our favorite Spider-Man is.
Right.
So.
Did you see the casting news?
Yes, I did.
The ones that I sent you with what is it? Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
The IMDb has Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, and Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
And that's probably how they're going to bring Deadpool in. It's
That'd be awesome.
Like the wizards or whatever are going to go to other multiverse or whatever, and Deadpool's going to
cool.
follow him back.
Well, I think one film I'd love to see to make to a live action would be Into the Spider-Verse. I really enjoyed that one, and I mean,
I think they did fine with it, just like animated. Like
right. But that's a story I think I'd like to actually see on movie. I mean, even get John, the guy that played Peter Parker. He's on
Which Peter Parker?
New Girl.
Oh, yeah. Nick. He played Nick on New Girl.
Yeah.
I'll think of his name in just a second.
but he
Joe
could,
Johnson.
Yes.
No, Joe Johnson's the director. Jake Johnson.
Jake
That's
Johnson.
His name.
Wasn't there a singer named Jake Johnson or something like that?
Jake. No.
But anyways, like have him play Peter Parker. I think that'd be kind of cool.
There's a son of a crazy person named Jake Busey.
Oh yeah, Gary Busey.
That's the crazy person.
Yeah.
No, so Gary Oldman, you'd say that Sirius Black is your favorite role?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely like him in True Romance because he plays just such an outlandish, crazy character in that. But what about Milla Jovovich?
Outstanding in this film.
What's your favorite role of hers?
Probably this one.
Yeah, I'd say this is, obviously she had some success with Resident Evil. What was her name in that movie?
Oh,
Alice.
Alice? No.
Yeah,
Is it Alice? Or is it the little girl in part 2? I don't know. But do you know that at the time it was the most expensive movie ever produced outside of Hollywood, most expensive production in Gaumont's history, and at $80 million US, the visual effects budget of the movie was the highest of its time.
Yeah, because this is actually a French film. This is not not a Hollywood film.
Yeah.
It was stayed out of Hollywood hands. I think Sony gave them about like $20 million for financing, but for the most part, it was kind of director got to do what he wanted. It was a French film. It was an American language or an English language French film, basically, and they populated it with a lot of Hollywood actors and everything. But yeah, it's a French film with French designers. Did you know the production designers were French comic book artists?
I did not know that.
I mean, to get comic book artists be like, can you imagine like Frank Miller doing production design for a movie? How awesome that would be. I mean, like if they did like a Spawn movie, he needs to be like the production designer for the movie, But I mean, you have somebody who works in a visual medium like comic. It just makes sense to have them be like a production designer because, they just that's what they do. They design entire worlds.
Yeah.
And so it was interesting that they had some actual comic book artists do that.
So what word, when you watch this movie or when anybody talks about this movie, what is the one word that just kind of sticks in your head as watching this movie?
Multipass.
Yep, there we go. Like toe pick with cutting edge, but this one is multipass.
Multipass. She goes, multipass. He goes, I know it's a multipass.
But you got a feeling like I got a feeling that scene was lived. Like I feel like that was just naturally Bruce Willis and Milla Jovovich.
Maybe it was
together.
maybe it was in the script. It was just a multipass or whatever, and with her going multipass. And then
that
like,
whole,
okay, we got to make it a thing. And then
that
the
whole
next
thing
scene,
was just
they're
hilarious.
like, ma'am, and she's like multipass.
Yeah, that was just, I mean, it was so hilarious. And then another funny line that I thought was funny that I did not know was lived by Bruce Willis when he said, "Look, lady, I only speak two languages, English and bad English."
Yeah.
I mean, and it's funny.
That's such a John McClane line.
That is. I was about to say that. I was like, what's funny about that line is that's not just a John McClane line. That's a Bruce Willis line.
Yeah.
Like
in that
you could
moment,
see in almost every movie, him saying that exact line.
Yeah, in that moment when he was driving that cab and said, "Look, lady, I only speak that," it's when he suddenly turned into John McClane. Because then he was like full of life again,
Right,
and,
right.
I really liked that part.
Do you know that he created this whole story in high school? The director.
Yeah, when he was like 16.
Yeah, so
and he was 38, I think, when it came out. So he had some time. He had some time to work on it. Maybe he probably could have, maybe polished it a little bit more. But it's considering that he came up with the story when he was 16.
This is kind of like his first. Because how old's the guy now? I mean, he's in his 50s?
Luc Besson.
But he, it's kind of one of those things where like maybe this was his first thing. You know what I mean? Like Fifth Element was his baby.
Let's see. Luc Besson is 61 years old right now.
So you got to figure that if he created this story in 16, this was probably his magnus opus, this his very first real film idea. It's just so happened wasn't actually filmed, until later on.
How interesting would it be to be a 16-year-old and you write a movie or a story about this woman who's perfect, right?
Yeah.
You're finally casting it, and you find somebody as beautiful as Milla Jovovich and cast her as your perfect woman, and then you get to marry her. Because after this movie, Luc Besson married Milla Jovovich in real life. So he was married to the girl who played the opera singer. That was all in blue,
Really?
Blue and everything.
Really?
Not the voice, because the voice is somebody as an
Obviously,
actual opera singer and everything. But the actress who played the diva, he was actually married to her when this movie started, and then right after this movie ended, he married Milla Jovovich.
You hear this stuff happening in Hollywood all the time, and it's like
I say married. I think they may have just been dating.
Okay.
Her and that chick. Maybe they were just dating, but I know he married Milla Jovovich after this movie.
But to my point that you see
hear
this
about
stuff happen this in Hollywood to all kinds of different players, and it's like
I brought up a list
not
actually.
Right. It makes me think it's like pretty much everybody is cursed when it comes to relationships. I mean,
it's not only that; it's directors that are leaving previously. Being with somebody else to be with their actresses. So obviously the first one for me that pops into mind is the director of Snow White and the Huntsman hooking up with Kristen Stewart. Now they didn't get married or anything; they had a hookup, and then that was pretty much it. But that ruined both of their relationships, their previous relationships.
And she also hooked up with Robert Pattinson,
right?
And,
so Tim Burton, I think he Helena Bonham Carter. I think that was after Planet of the Apes or whatever.
But that makes so much sense. That one itself. I mean, because they're still married.
Yeah, James Cameron. He met Linda Hamilton in the first Terminator, married her, and then when they did Titanic, the girl that plays Rose's granddaughter or whatever, that's kind of like got maybe a thing with Bill Paxton in Titanic. He ended up marrying her after that movie and separated from Linda Hamilton. There's a whole list. It just kind of goes on and on. I think the same thing with Steven Spielberg and Kate Capshaw, the main female lead from Temple of Doom. There's just like been and like I said, the Kristen Stewart thing with Robert Pattinson and all that. It's just been a kind of a theme here. There's just tons. Oh, Kate Beckinsale, in the what was it?
Oh
the first Underworld movie.
But she got married to Vision.
Yeah,
the guy that played Vision, right?
She was dating Michael Sheen.
Yeah.
Okay, so the guy who played, remember he was the main vampire in Twilight, and he was in Underworld.
Yeah.
And then Len Wiseman, he was married and everything, and then they kind of hooked up and got married. And
I heard she even has kids with the same the guy that plays Vision.
I'm talking about Kate Beckinsale.
Yeah.
With
I'm pretty sure of it. Yeah.
What is his name? Andrew or
something Bettany.
Paul Bettany.
Paul Bettany.
No,
that's right.
He was married to Jennifer Connelly.
Maybe
thought.
that's probably who I'm thinking.
Yeah,
of.
I'm pretty sure that's who they were.
But
But I mean, it goes all the way back to Charlie Chaplin.
I know.
Doing the same thing.
Oh, that's crazy.
Paul Thomas Anderson. And that's happened with Milla Jovovich again. So after she was with Luc Besson, they were married, and then she did Resident Evil, which Paul W. Anderson directed, and she ended up getting with him, and then she was married to him, and I think they're still married to this day.
One thing, did you know? Because I was watching the movie, right, and this guy Finger just kept on calling, and it was like, it was almost like he was such it's Vin Diesel.
Was it Vin Diesel?
Vin Diesel.
No,
and
it wasn't.
I thought that at the same time because
no, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
I'm looking this up.
I'm gonna show you right now.
No, you're fine.
Look right there.
Oh, you're fine. That's crazy. I have to watch it again.
I heard the voice. and I was like, I know that voice from somewhere. It's somebody.
It sounded familiar. I just didn't know where to pick it up from.
But they constantly, this character kept on showing up, but only on the phone. You know what I mean? And I'm like, that was kind of cool because it was this director does this with his movies. He has little like side stories, kind of almost not like side stories, but side things that make you start to think about it. And you're like, okay, wait. Why did he put this in here?
Well, didn't he? Well, I mean, because we never saw the guy.
Yeah.
I guess he owned the cabs or something.
Yeah,
like that.
but he was also one of his army buddies. He was an army buddy of his. You know what I mean? And they called him Finger, but it was apparently, what I'm reading here, it's saying that Vin Diesel was the voice of Finger, which I can hear it now because now when I was listening to it, when I watched it the last time, I was like,
so
man, that
well.
voice looks
Here's the
familiar.
thing. It says. This seems like it should have an easy answer on IMDb, but it doesn't. There's no Finger on the cast list. Google returns a lot of speculation, but no confirmed answer. The most popular theory seems to be Vin Diesel, but the timing is questionable. He became famous much later, but he's
famous, but he was like a knockaround guys and stuff.
Yeah, but that was still like early 2000s.
Yeah, but this is again, like Bruce Willis pre-hair.
Have you seen what Vin Diesel did before he became an actor?
He was a bouncer.
Well, even before
he was
that,
a male dancer or something like that.
He
right?
was he was in dance videos. So
that's right.
Or it was either dance or aerobic, but I think it was dance instruction. And he had hair and everything.
Yeah.
It was weird. But that'd be interesting if it's him because I was like, the voice sounds familiar, but maybe it's not as gravelly, but maybe his voice hadn't gotten that deep yet or whatever. But. Do you like this movie? Do you think it stands out from The Professional and Nikita and Lucy and all those movies?
Well, all those other movies are phenomenal. I mean, I think probably if you were to count all these movies up, I think Lucy would probably be the worst one. But even that wasn't bad.
I still haven't seen Lucy.
It was good. It was good. It was predictable. I mean, you knew which way it was going. I mean, she was pretty much becoming a god. And if you notice with his characters in his movies that, like even The Professional,
How close to Ghost in the Shell is Lucy? Because
it's pretty darn close.
Aren't they? Don't they have both have superpowers?
Ghost in the Shell is more like an android. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anime very much, but
that was kind of older anime. But it's just if you notice with this director, he tends to do a lot of movies that have deeper meaning. The characters have deeper meanings, and they're certain people. Like what is it? I mean, definitely with Fifth Element, it's got that element of,
I like
religion.
how everybody fell in love with Milla Jovovich. I mean, even the priest, whenever he sent them off in the train station or the airport or whatever, he went to go have a drink. And he was just like talking about her and everything, and she's like just how perfect she is. And the guy that recreated her, I just like how everybody just like falls in love with. Because I remember when she first came out, she's just so exotic looking. She comes from Soviet era Russia. In Ukraine and everything, but she just got these unique features, and I think Luc Besson even said that when he saw her, she looked just otherworldly. She just looks interesting, where she could be from way back in the day, or she could be in the future. Like she doesn't have like an average look about her. Very exotic and everything like that, which makes sense because, like you said before, she started doing these. she was a model.
Yeah, but with that character, and then I mean, we haven't really talked about Chris Tucker too much.
I was just about to get into that.
I think he did a phenomenal job in this role because I mean, you see the type of characters he plays. He plays Friday, and and the same thing with Rush Hour and stuff like that. I mean, he does his type of comedy very, very well. Now,
do you think Ruby Rod would have worked if it was somebody else beside him, or do you think that specific energy was only worked?
It only worked
with
him.
that.
I think it's that it would only work.
Do you think it would have been annoying if it was somebody else?
Yeah, I mean, now unless it was Prince, of course, but
but he's like so mellow. He's not as hyper, so
that's true. That's true, and he's very full of it. Chris Tucker's very full of energy, and he played the role really well, I think.
But I mean, Chris Tucker, he's just got that voice. He's
motor mouth, like super quick.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a little, it's not like a deep voice or anything like that. But I mean, he's kind of a comic, so it works. Whatever happened to him?
I've heard he's gone bankrupt at one point. I mean, he's coming out now.
I think he became a Christian too, and
all I know is that really he just kind of fell off, and I'm pretty sure he kind of went a little broke too on top of it all, and because he just fell off after Rush Hour. Really, I mean, during that time period that Rush Hour came out, like everything he came out with was just bam, bam, hit, making money, and then all of a sudden when the Rush Hour franchise ended, he kind of fell off.
Wasn't he in Dead Presidents?
Oh, I think so. I want to say.
He was in Money Talks with Charlie Sheen.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. That during that time period is when he started coming out with all kinds of films. And
he did good in Silver Linings Playbook. I remember him in that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he was in Jackie Brown and Dead Presidents.
But Silver Lining, I forgot about that. He was phenomenal in that one because I mean he wasn't like the classic comedian that he usually plays, in that one.
Yeah.
And that movie was phenomenal. I mean, it should have won for what it did win.
They're talking about trying to bring Rush Hour 4 back, or the Rush Hour. I don't know. I guess there's a video of him and Jackie Chan together holding up 4 fingers, so it looks like maybe they might be doing it. So
I think they've been talking about it for a while, but
just
that's the thing. Like with Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker, they were just spitting out films during that period. During Rush Hour. I mean, both of them were just. As soon as Jackie Chan came up on the airway,
Rumble in the Bronx.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
I loved every single movie he's done, and this guy is the epitome of acting. I mean, the guy was like in an orphanage, I believe, when he was younger, and he literally his dad kind of raised him or
Jackie
something.
Chan.
Yeah, and he put him in an acting form of martial arts, basically. So he learned martial arts, but how to use it in acting in films and stuff like that, and that's where he got a lot of his wushu experience.
Drunken Master.
Yeah, I mean, but every film, and then plus, it's because of Bruce Lee who opened that door for him, and for other actors from China and stuff like that to come over and act. But regardless, with this, I think.
Remember the big debate back then because Jet Li and Jackie Chan were both real famous. So everybody's like, who would win a fight between Jet Li and Jackie Chan?
Sorry, but Jet Li would. But,
Yeah,
and that's the
of course
simple thing. He's an actual trained martial artist.
Right. Jackie Chan is
an acting
an
martial
actor.
artist.
Yeah, and I mean, not to say
he
that
still knows
not
it.
to say he can't kick
Yeah,
my ass,
yeah.
but I'm sure he can, but with no problems at all. But he a lot of it's like stunt work.
Yeah, and but I mean, it's.
And he was actually in a movie with Bruce Lee. Jackie Chan was.
Yeah. I think it wasn't Drunken Master or something. No, it was the one with it where he gets clawed on his chest. I think, and not Enter the Dragon.
Might have been, but I just know that I think it was like Bruce Lee had talked to him real briefly, and everything, and liked what he was doing and stuff, and he just thought because I think he was just doing kind of stunt stuff then.
Yeah,
but he was just real happy about that.
A lot of people used before he came like super famous too. But during that time, he has his own stunt team. Jackie Chan does.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he uses them in all his films. But anyways, so do you think that any other character would work differently, like a different action star as Bruce Willis, a different lead heroine, a different, in Chris Tucker? I think we could probably both agree that Chris Tucker's role was kind of made for him in this film.
Yeah, I don't think you could replace Chris Tucker. And honestly, I think you could put somebody in as Leeloo. I just don't think it would have worked as well, and maybe that's just with the knowledge I have of Milla Jovovich now. But here's the thing: Milla Jovovich spoke 4 languages.
Yeah,
she was doing this movie. She might speak more now, but as of at the time of this movie, she could already speak 4 languages.
Yeah,
and the director actually made up the language that she speaks in. I think it had like 400 words or something like that, and obviously not a complete language, but just enough to speak basically and to, do her lines in the movie. And she learned it, the whole language, before they started shooting and everything. And it got to the point where at the end of the movie, her and the director could have a conversation.
Yeah.
And so they were probably talking about
I bet they had conversations.
all the naughty things they were going to do to each other,
I bet
so nobody else could understand what they were saying.
Oh goodness!
What did you like the music in this?
It was all right. I
love the music in this.
It was good. I mean, it was a lot of, I
think it's transcended because I think because it's just as good now as it was then. When I hear the music, I don't think that's from a '90s movie.
Yeah,
like you might from a normal '90s movie soundtrack. It's more transcendent, so it's not just to that time. So I just think the theme, Leeloo's theme, basically. Whenever you're talking about the Fifth Element, it's that certain little ethereal music that plays and everything. And I don't know. And then whenever he tells her he loves her at the end, and all that kind of stuff, it just great, you know, when the music swells and everything like that. I just think the between the production design, the acting that we get, the story, and you know, the music and everything, it just turns out to be it's a sci-fi movie, and not many sci-fi movies win accolades for being, you know, hardcore cinema, like, you know, what was it, My Dinner with Andre might, or, you know, Goodfellas or Godfather or whatever it may be. You know,
did you ever watch the Community episode when he did My Dinner with Andre?
Oh yeah. Abed was Andre, and then he had
Joel
Jeff
McHale.
in there, as the other character who played in Princess Bride. I forgot, Wallace Shawn.
Yeah.
But yeah, he that was a good movie, and that was a pretty good episode of Community. And then Jeff gets really pissed at the end when he figures out
It's supposed to be Pulp Fiction, but he's doing a Dinner with Andre.
Well, yeah, he was doing a Pulp Fiction dinner, but he thought that Abed had this like life-changing experience. That's why he was acting this way, and he was really just doing a bit from the movie. So he got so mad. He's like, really?
This is why this show's so great, you know.
I've actually started rewatching that again, but you know, every time I get to about season 2 or 3, and I just start to fall off.
Well, when Troy leaves that show is when it just it's crap.
I thought Chevy Chase left first. Well, left.
No, it's kind of, they leave right about the same time, pretty much. You know, because I think some of the scenes, like the last season that Pierce is in, like he's barely in it, like barely in the show, and even on the show, it's showing like during the characters are even having problems with Pierce, you know, and where I heard off the show, you know, in the real world they were having problems with Chevy Chase.
Like that was all of season 2 and 3. They just hated. They were kept trying to kick him out of the group and everything. Yeah. But you know, Chevy Chase, you know, he's not had much like Bruce Willis. You know, he's had some people come out but Chevy Chase is more. You know, he's it's notorious in Hollywood for being kind of a dick. Yeah. You know, there was that one time when he was on Carson with Richard Pryor, and what did he say? I mean, they were going back and forth like it was on Carson, so you know, you'd have a guest, and then that guest would stay on the couch when the next guest would come out, and so Richard Pryor was trying to have the interview with Carson, but Chevy Chase kept interrupting. You know, it's like he has to be the star because he was the original star of Saturday Night Live. He was in the first season. He wasn't actually a guest, or he wasn't actually a cast member. He was a constant guest, right? And he was like the star of the first season, and then he left to go do his own things and everything. But I've just heard and the news report that they do was started by Chevy Chase. Yeah, you know, the weekly update, or whatever. Weekly update that they still do to this day was started by Chevy Chase, and the fact that he. I mean, not only Chevy Chase, but also the jerk. Steve Martin. He was also another one of those actors that weren't actually a cast member, but they were just a constant guest star. The know? Cans. Shooting at the Steve cans. Martin's awesome. Somebody was assassinating the cans. We should do an episode on the jerk. And just like have it be like 5 minutes of us talking, and the rest of it's just cutting clips of the jerk. Well, have you seen that stand up with Steve Martin and Martin Short? No. Oh man, they did the stand up together. I mean, it's pretty recently too, but like because you know I think Martin Short plays the guitar. I mean, we know Steve Martin is known for playing the banjo. He's like one of the top players in the world now. Yeah. I mean, he's actually won. He's probably won more. He's won more Grammys than he's won Academy Awards. I don't know if he's won Grammys for. No, I think he's won awards for his music. I didn't know he won Grammys. Yeah, and everything. I got to look it up though. No, that's fine. But getting back to this movie real quick before we end. Yeah. Do you remember when we were younger and we used to watch it, do you remember what we used to laugh at really hard? Multipass? No, it had to do with Ruby Rod, Chris Tucker. It's when him and Bruce Willis are being attacked. Do you remember that part? Where he's screaming? And he's like, come coming. He's like, coming. And then it goes back to then. There's like 3 more. He goes, oh, there's 4 coming. 4 coming now, Corbin.
But he's actually helping him.
And
he's actually helping him, and they're actually kind of working together in a way.
No, he didn't. So he didn't do one thing. The whole act, it was just him standing around screaming. He didn't help carry anybody, I don't think. Oh, no, he carried the stones for, like, he protected him, I guess, while Bruce Willis was shooting the place up. But that's really all he did. He followed them out onto the spaceship. He followed them to Egypt. But he didn't he couldn't get the stones to open or anything like that. He was mainly just comedy relief, right?
Right.
And what was with the government just like basically listening to the radio show the whole time?
Oh, I know. Well, it's kind of like propaganda radio or something like that.
I guess it would be the best way to listen to what's going on since he's with Bruce Willis or whatever. It's not like they can call Bruce Willis and ask for updates or anything. But I don't know. That just made me laugh because you could tell like he was only there. He didn't serve one purpose in that plot.
Well, no, at the very end when they're setting the rocks and trying to get him to activate and stuff like that,
But even he was like, I have no fire, and so he couldn't even get that started. Like I said, the one thing he did do is like Bruce Willis is like, hold these stones. And then he goes and shoots a bunch of people.
Yeah, and then he holds the gun on the guy.
Yeah, and then he
I'm sorry. And he's already dead.
He pats his head. He's like, I'm sorry. Anyways, I like the music from this movie. I like the visuals. I like just the fact that
it's a fun movie.
And they spent $90 something million, and this made back like over $250 million back from it. So I'm actually very surprised with the way studios are. That, well, okay, that's why. If this was a studio movie, this would be like a sequel. But because it was out of Hollywood, I'm surprised that the sequel still wasn't made. But maybe
I'm sure
he just wanted
Bruce
to leave
Willis
he left it.
Yeah, and Bruce Willis, I'm sure, had a lot of draw for the audience too. Just because, again, this was at his peak. Really in the 90s.
Even though he had weird blonde hair.
Yeah,
weird bleach blonde hair.
That was such a random part of it. So.
And some kind of a weird get up. That shirt that he was wearing where it exposed his back and everything. And I was like, this is really weird.
Well, Milla Jovovich wasn't
no, I know. All of them
saner, and then especially Gary Oldman's whole
his little plastic thing.
Oh,
that thing's always confused the crap out of me.
Yeah, and it's like, why would he? He's sweating blood, and you're kind of sitting there, you're like,
not sweating blood.
That's kind of random. Where did the blood come from?
That's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. The evil made him bleed and everything, but then there's no source of it. So that's how it's showing. It's it's otherworldly because when he wiped it away, there was nothing there.
I don't know. I kind of took it as he was bleeding blood, like he was sweating blood.
No, because that was like a thick glob that was just.
You don't know
down.
unless you ask the director.
Yeah, he's my best friend.
Yeah. Okay. Text him right now. Shoot him on Twitter.
Yeah, so you guys, if you get a chance to watch this, it's a really good movie. It's one of the best and most iconic sci-fi movies out there in a decade when sci-fi was going crazy. Great performances all around, great music, and the old Bruce Willis that we all love from Die Hard and all that kind of stuff. Right? Great Scott. So give this movie a watch. We definitely recommend it. If you guys want to find us, we're on Twitter at The Post Credits. We're on Facebook and Instagram at The Post Credit Podcast. Our email is thepostcreditpodcast@gmail.com. Our website is www.thepostcreditpodcast.com. Give that website a look. We have pictures on there, about us section that talks about our interests and everything. And then we're also on YouTube, so look us up there. Give us a shout. We appreciate you guys listening, and we'll see you next time.
And throw.